Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for this week's video. That is until I did my July TBR video. Spoiler alert, if you have not watched my July TBR video and don't want to know what happened yet, then I would watch that video before this one because today we are going to be reading books off of my July TBR. Because it's a big TBR and I need to get a head start on it to have any chance of finishing it this month. But it's not fun just choosing the books I want to read off that TBR. Where's the fun in that? But instead, we're going to play a game to figure out what books on this TBR we'll be reading in this reading vlog. How are we going to do that, you may ask? Well, let me go ahead and tell you. We are going to be playing Pong, TBR Pong. So we are going to have a ping pong ball. We have 14 of these cups that correspond to each roll on my TBR. So we are going to throw the ball, and whatever cup the ball lands in, each cup has this little envelope that has a number inside. And the numbers correspond to one of these packages here. This is package number 11. And inside each package is the book that we are going to read. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't put the books inside the envelope because, that would make sense. But I had already created all these cute little envelopes and these cute little packages and put the books inside the packages before I thought about that. Hence why we're doing it this way. So this is going to be a 24-hour reading vlog. My goal is to hopefully get 3 books read off my TBR. Of course, it's going to kind of depend on what books get chosen, how many we'll read in these 24 hours, but my goal is to get 3 off of it because then I think it makes the TBR much more manageable for the rest of the month. We'll see how this goes. So let's go ahead and move over to our table where all our cups are set up and find out what we are going to read for our first book on this reading vlog.
Here we are with our 14 cups. I have my ping pong ball in this cup. It's blue, my favorite color. So let's go at it and see if I can get it in to any of the cups. Here we go. All right, green ball. Here we go. Look at that. Right, the blue cup. Let me grab the cup. This is our cup. See the green balls in it? No cheating here. Let's take the envelope off. You can see it's a blue envelope. And let's go back to the fireplace, open the envelope, and see what book we're going to read.
All right, that was not too bad. We got it on the second attempt, so I'm quite happy with that. It went right in. I was a little bit impressed with myself with that throw. And we got a blue cup that had the light blue envelope on it, which is right here. So let's go ahead and open the envelope and see what number package we will be opening. All right, here we go. Here's our little piece of paper with a number. And we'll be, oh, whoa. All right, this is the same one, trust me. We'll be opening package number 14. All right, let's find package 14 in here. 10. All right, we got a bunch of packages here. 14, that wasn't too bad. It was the fourth one I looked at. All right, this is package 14. Let's see, there will either be 1 or 2 books in here. If it was a jar pull, there's only 1 book. If it's from a prompt, there's the 2 books, the physical and the Kindle book. So let's see what books are in our little package. All right. Looks like it's a prompt because there's 2 books in here. Oh no, there's just 1 book in here. That means it's a jar pull, so it could be a series book, it could be the new release books, or it could be our science fiction, fantasy, graphic novel book. And it is a series book. So this is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. This is part of her Shadowhunters universe. This is where the first kind of offshoot goes off of the Mortal Instrument series. So I read the first 3 Mortal Instrument books. Then you're supposed to jump to the Eldest Scrolls series, which this is the first book in it. So this book follows the Shadowhunter Alec and the Warlock Magnus, who are on vacation in Paris when they end up getting sent on some sort of quest. I'm not sure what the quest is, but they get sent on a quest that they obviously have to finish. And that is the gist of the book in a very, very short synopsis. So I was just looking up the page numbers. It's about 368 pages. I was a little bit worried because I know the Shadowhunter books can sometimes be on the longer side, but this one's not super long. So hopefully it'll be a quick read. It is YA. And yeah, I'm hoping to get it done rather quickly. It is now noon, so the 24-hour reading vlog will start right now at noon and will go on to noon tomorrow. So here we go. Let's embark. Let's read our first book. Hopefully, it's a good one. And I'll meet you back here when I'm halfway through the book. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, it is now 3:30 and I'm halfway through The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. It's also by Wesley Chu and is book one in the Eldest Curses series, not the Eldest Scrolls series, which I think is what I called it before. And it is part of the Shadowhunters universe that was created by Cassandra Clare. So this has actually been a really good pick for the first book of this reading challenge. I have been having a lot of fun with it. It's a very lighthearted book, and the atmosphere just seems a little less serious than the first three books in the Mortal Instrument series, and I'm definitely having a fun time reading it. So, like I said before, this book follows Alec, who is a shadow hunter, the son of kind of the leaders of the shadow hunters that live in New York, the New York Institute. And Magnus is the high warlock of New York as well. So Alec and Magnus are on vacation in Paris, having a great time in Paris, seeing the sights, tasting the food. When one night, Magnus's former acquaintance tracks him down in his apartment to let him know that there is this demonic cult that Magnus is being accused of being the leader of. Only Magnus knows nothing about this. The cult is called the what is it called? The cult is known as the Crimson Hand, and Magnus knows this name is vaguely familiar. He kind of remembers creating it as almost like a joke cult, not really forming it as far as he remembers, way back in the past several centuries, and never really thought of it since until this former acquaintance comes, tracks him down, and tells him that the Council of Warlocks has given him the task of figuring out who actually is the leader of this demonic cult, the Crimson Hand, which I apparently cannot remember the name of, and basically track down the leader and destroy the cult. So that is the quest that Alec and Magnus now find themselves on, and it appears that they're going to be traveling throughout different cities in Europe trying to find this leader of the Crimson Hand. So like I said, this has been a very fun read so far. It's very lighthearted. There's a lot of jokes, a lot of laughter within the story, and I'm not surprised that I'm enjoying it so much because I will say I really enjoy the character of Magnus. I like his sense of humor and I just enjoy reading his personality. And this book is told both from his viewpoint and Alex. And really, the book entirely focuses on the two of them as they are tracking down this cult. I also like the contrasting personalities of Magnus and Alec. It adds another dimension to the story when we're seeing different things from either of their point of views. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say right now as I am halfway through. It's like I said, it's been a fun read. I wasn't sure how this was going to go because while I enjoyed the first three books in the Mortal Instrument series, I didn't really love them. They weren't ones that I flew through reading. And I think part of that was I had watched the TV show before I read those books. So I think that kind of threw off some of the excitement and suspense. But this book is entirely new. I don't know the storyline in it, and other than, what the synopsis said, and I'm enjoying both the story as well as how the characters have been written, how their personalities are coming off, and just the fun lightheartedness that the story is giving. So I'm going to go finish this book, hopefully by 6:30, and then we'll go ahead and choose our second book. I feel like we're on schedule. We have like 20 and a half hours to go, and I'm feeling good about getting my goal of reading 3 books off of my July TBR in this video. So we'll see if this keeps up, and I will meet you back here in a little bit once I have finished this book. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, I am back and I have completed the Red Scrolls That's not what it's called. What did I complete? Let me double check. The Red Scrolls of Magic. That is what I have completed by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. And I enjoyed it all the way through to the end. It was a very lighthearted, just very fun book to read. And I again enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed all the characters, all the jokes that are kind of made, all the almost sarcastic comments that are scattered throughout the book. It just made for a very fun read. And the pacing of it was also really well done. I felt like we were going from one plot point to the next one fairly quickly. There wasn't a lot of filler in between, and it kept your attention well because of that. The only time I felt it was a little bit slow was the ending after the major, plot point, the major conflict came together and ended. Felt like the last chapter and then the epilogue were a little bit on the slower end because there wasn't as much stuff going on. It was just pretty much wrapping up the little details that were kind of hinted at throughout the book. And yeah, I feel like I always feel that the books at the end are a little bit on the slower side. I think that's just I always want the book to end. I always want books to end sooner than they actually do for some reason, but that may just be me. I will say the little twist at the end definitely makes you want to read the second book in this series. It was definitely a surprise, did not see that one coming. And unfortunately, with the order that I am reading this in, the second book I have to read like 8 books before I get to that one. So, I'll let you know, 8 books in the future, how the second book in the eldest curses was. So in the order that I am reading them, the next books in the series are the Infernal Devices trilogy. So I'll be reading Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess next in the Shadow Hunters universe. So I'm excited about that. No idea what those are about, but I'll find out when they get onto my TBR at some point in the future. All right, that is one book down. That took me about 7 hours. It's 7 p.m. We have about 16 and a half hours to go. So we are on track for reading 3 books, which is my goal. So I'm excited about that. Since I last talked to you, we had some major thunderstorms, lightning going on, downpours. It's been like a whole weather thing going on outside. Things seem to have slowed down a little bit now. I don't know if we're in for some more thunderstorms. I was lucky because I heard the thunder coming and I ran out to get the mail and the trash cans before it started downpouring. I think I came in and like 5 minutes later, the skies just like opened up. So I was very, very happy about that. So now it's time to choose our second book. Let's move back over to the table and throw the ping pong balls and see what cup we land in this time. I will see you over there. All right, we are back at our table. We have our ping pong balls here. We have our cups over there. We are down to 13 cups because we read one. And we got to throw our ping pong balls and see what cup we're going to get for our next book. We're going to go with the blue one first. Here we go. All right, we were lucky with green the first time around, so let's see if we can be lucky again. I don't know, what is it about the green ball? Apparently that's the one I should go with. Here's our green ball. Shows we have the right cup. And it's a pink envelope. So we will take this back over to the fireplace with us and open it up over there. We did another blue cup. And we'll see what our next book is going to be. Meet you back at the fireplace. All right, we are back. It took 2 attempts again to get the ping pong ball into the cup. And again, we got it in with that green ping pong. Apparently that's our lucky one. We may need to find a green game piece to use on our TBR game boards because maybe that will bring us more luck than we have been having on those TBRs. Something to think about for August. Anyway, we got another blue cup and we got the pink envelope this time. So let's go ahead and open our envelope and see what number package we'll be opening. All right, so here is our envelope. Here is the number. So number 7. All right. Let's find the package that has the number 7 on it. All right, here they all are again. Let me sift through these. That's not it. We got 5, 4. Oops. 1 and 3. Huh. 7's not going to be as easy to find. Ooh, there's 8. 9. Oh, 7. The red one. All right, package number 7. All right, let's go ahead and open it and see what is inside. All right, we have 2 book covers, which means these books came from one of the prompts that we drew in July. So let's see what our 2 options are for reading. All right, we have The Woman in Cabin 10, which is kind of like a mystery thriller book. And we have Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher, which is a contemporary fiction book. So these are 2 options. Both of them sound pretty good. So let's quickly go over these 2 options. So The Woman in Cabin 10 is a mystery thriller that is set on a cruise ship, a luxury cruise ship, where the main character, who is, I think, a travel writer, sees someone get thrown overboard and she reports it, but when they take attendance on the cruise ship, no one is missing. So who was this woman? What happened to her? The cruise ship has continued on its journey, and only the main character is left to try to figure out what happened. Our second option is Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher. She's a contemporary fiction writer. She's kind of like a cozy fiction writer. And this book follows Selena, who thought her father was dead, only to find out that he may actually be alive, and she goes off searching for him to a small Spanish island where she finds George Dyer, who's a writer who can help her solve the mysteries of her past. So these books were chosen for the prompt, a book that matches the current season. We have Luxury Cruise, we have a Spanish island. Summer. So I think out of these 2, I am going to go with Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher. I love her writing and I love her stories, and I'm excited to read this one. It's also on the shorter side, which is kind of nice as well. And going to a small Spanish island through reading seems like a nice thing to do on a dark, rainy, stormy day. So this will be our next book that we will be reading for our TBR Pong game. All right, so I am going to get to reading this. Actually, first I'm going to make dinner. I have this crab dip I got at the grocery store, which I'm very excited to try. So I'm going to go warm that up, get that going, and then have a nice dinner while I start this. Oops, that's backside. While I start this book, and I'll meet you guys back here when I am halfway through it. This book is about 280 pages, so I'll see you around page 120. See you guys soon. All right, I'm back and I'm halfway through Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher. We have another storm coming through, which is kind of funny because the storm started as soon as I reached the part in the book where there was a storm, and I was reading the sentence that said rolling thunder, and rolling thunder happened here at the exact same time. So we'll see how long this storm lasts. Hopefully, it won't last too long, but who knows? So this book is like a 180 from the Red Scrolls of Magic, which was more of a lighthearted, like comedic, just fun time. This book is a more sophisticated, character-driven story that really not a lot happens in. So this is more of a slow atmospheric read. There's not a lot of action that goes into it. So if you're a reader who likes books that are more action based, this one may not be for you. But if you enjoy a nice kind of cozy, atmospheric, character driven story, then you may enjoy this one, especially because it's not super long. It's 10 o'clock at night now. Somehow between 7 and like 8:30, I really didn't get much reading done. I'm not sure what happened. I made dinner. I made the crab dip. I fed my cat. I washed something for one of her play tents, the thing that goes on the ground, to clean that. And before I knew it, it was 8:30 and I had read like 20 pages in an hour and a half. Since then, I have read about 100 pages between like 9 and 10 o'clock at night. So I think the second half of the book would go much faster. So like I said before, this book follows Selena. Selena grew up in London in a very well off family. She was raised by her grandmother. And when she was young and asking questions about where her dad was, her grandmother told her that her father had died during World War II. He went missing and was never found, and then after 3 years was presumed dead, basically. So she went along with that until one day she discovered a photograph that looked a lot like a old photograph that she had of her father, only it was a more updated one. It looked like an older version of her father, and this person happened to be living in on a small Spanish island. So she decides that she needs to go find out if this is her father. And that is what she does. And that is where we are in the book. She is on the Spanish island trying to figure out what happened to her father. So, one of the big things that I have enjoyed is how the author kind of describes the small Spanish islands. It makes me feel like I'm living back in Italy again. I know Italy and Spain are different countries, but they have a lot of similarities to it, the city, especially the cities along the water. And a lot of the description that the author is using for the little towns on the island that she went to remind me a lot of southern Italy. So that was kind of nice. Selena's fiance that we're introduced to within like the first couple of pages of the book, I not really a fan of. He treats her as a child almost, like she's someone who can't figure things out on her own, can't stand up for herself, and it's really, really kind of annoying. He even calls her like a child at one point. So, not really a big fan of him. Selena, the character, I've enjoyed. She definitely has a naive side of her from growing up in this well off family and kind of being sheltered. It definitely shows as we are going through this book by some of the things that she does. But she is determined and she sticks with her goal of trying to figure out who her father was, and she hasn't let anyone kind of get in the way of her doing this. So, overall, I am enjoying this. It's definitely more of a slow moving plot, like I said. I am glad that I got this as my second book because I'm not sure if this is a story that would keep me awake, at 2, 3 a.m., because there is not a lot that goes on. But I am enjoying the story, the character building, as I typically do from stories by Rosamund Pilcher. It definitely reminds me of her other stories, just a lot shorter than some of them. Wow, I am having trouble with pronunciating words right now. All right, so I am going to go back to reading this. I am hoping to have this done by midnight so we can choose our third book, which could be our last because we only have 12 hours at midnight. And depending which book we get, some of those are quite long on our TBR. So I'm going to get back to reading. I'm going to throw on a sweatshirt because it's starting to get cold with the storm coming. And then I'll meet you guys back here once I have completed this book. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, I'm back and I finished Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher. I ended up not putting on my sweatshirt because the house still hasn't quite cooled off yet. So, still in a t shirt. It is now midnight. So, I did finish the last 140 pages in the 2 hours that I wanted to. So, that is good. That means we still have 12 hours left in this 24-hour readathon. I guess that's what it's called. It's midnight. I don't know. Um, Thoughts on this book? Things are going well right up until the very last 2 pages. I wish the ending did not take the turn that it did, and that it took a 180 turn instead. I don't want to spoil the ending, so it's kind of hard to say exactly what I'm talking about, but if you read it, you may understand. Other than that, if I ignore the ending and I stop the book of, several pages sooner, things went well. It's a book about, it's just a, it's really just a book about the main character Selena and the author George and their life on the small Spanish island after they met. And it's just kind of a nice, like, Spanish vacation that you're taking with Selena. It's kind of what it feels like. There isn't much plot. Like I said before, there isn't really any action. It's literally just following Selena as she learns about the island and tries to hunt down what happened to her father. The only other thing about this book is that it jumps a lot between viewpoints, which can be a little bit confusing. But again, I feel like that's the thing that was going on back in 1967 in the early half of the 20th century. because I pretty sure I remember that type of thing happening in like Agatha Christie mysteries and some other books I've read from back in that era. But that is all I have to say about Sleeping Tiger by Rosamund Pilcher. It's time to move on to our next book, and probably the last one for this 24-hour readathon because it's midnight. There are several books on here that I wouldn't mind reading. I think the only one I don't want to read for this readathon, oh my gosh, readathon, is probably Catching Fire because that is a reread for me, and I think it's more fun to read new books for these types of videos. So let's move over to the table. We'll throw our ping pong ball, see what book we end up with. I'm procrastinating a little bit going over to the table because where I have this set up is in my dining room, and the windows point to my neighbor's house, and if they happen to be awake, I don't know if they will be because it's midnight, they're going to be wondering what I am doing. I have a feeling. But we gotta get this throwing. We gotta get our next book chosen. So we're gonna do this. So I'll meet you over at the dining room table. It's thundering, pouring with rain and lightning as well out here. So if you hear that in the background, that is why. It's been doing this for like the past hour. So I don't know when or if it's going to stop tonight. All right, onto the dining room table. All right, so we are back with our cups. It is time to throw our ping pong balls and see what cup we got. So far, we've gotten 2 blue cups. Maybe we can try for an orange and a green. Who knows? What I do know is I'll be using the green ball first to see if it's the green ball that was landing in or second turn luck. Let's find out. Here we go. First throw. It's a green ball. It's gotta be. All right, here is our cup. It has the green ball in it. And it has the purple envelope. Light purple, I should say. All right, let's take this back over to the fireplace and see what our next book is going to be. All right, we're back at the fireplace. We have our purple envelope here. Let's go ahead and open it and see what number we get. And let me take this piece of tape off first. All right, here we go. This is our number. See what package we are going to open. And it's package number 6. I write my 9s in a different way, so I know that this is a 6. All right, let's find package number 6. I think I came across it last time I looked through these. All right, here we go. It's a blue one. My favorite color. Package 6. All right, let's see what book or books we have in here. All right, looks to be another twofer. That means it comes from a prompt card. All right, let's see what our 2 options are. We have Free Falling, and I know what this one is. It is Catching Fire. This is a tough one. Like I said before, Catching Fire is not the book that I wanted to read for this reading vlog because I've already read it. It's very popular. I don't think I will have too much to say about it too because of the way that series goes. It's hard to talk about the second book without spoiling what happened in the first book. So I think instead of reading Catching Fire this time around, we are going to read Free Falling by Suzanne Kiernan Lewis and see how that goes. So Free Falling is a dystopian novel. It's the first book in the Irish Endgame series, and it follows the Woodson family who are taking a much needed vacation to a relaxing remote spot just to kind of get a break from the artificial stimulation of their world in Jacksonville, Florida. They end up going to a remote rustic little cottage in Ireland, on the coast of Ireland, and while they are there, there's a international incident that leaves the family stranded in this cottage in this remote area of coastal Ireland. So now they are dependent on themselves for survival, but they're also going to have to deal with looters and other opportunistic people to be able to survive. The world's been flung back 100 years. There's no more internet, no telephones, no electricity, no cars, and every person is desperate to survive at any cost. So, a true dystopian novel. And another short one. This one's only 246 pages long, which is great. I'm excited about that as well. So we'll try this out. I haven't read any other books by this author before. She does seem to write a lot of mystery books as well. I think this may be one of her first, if or only, dystopian series. But I'm excited to see how it goes. It's a brand new author, a obviously brand new book to me, and yeah, I'm gonna get to reading it, and I'll come back when I'm halfway through. So I'll meet you back here at the fireplace in hopefully just another hour and a half or so, because halfway through is only what, 120 pages or so. So I'll see you then. I am rambling because it's midnight. Take care. See you in a little bit. I have come back. I am halfway through Free Falling by Suzanne Kiernan Lewis. It is 2:30 in the morning. Definitely getting tired. Probably going to take a quick nap before I finish this book. Anyway, how I'm feeling about this book. This book is a indie book. It doesn't seem like it went through any editing, and this is a book that was written early in this author's career. I think it was like the fourth or fifth book that she wrote and her first dystopian novel, and you can definitely tell with the writing that this is one of her first novels that she wrote. The plot itself is interesting. So the way this book starts off is that David, Sarah, and their son John have just arrived in Ireland in their new cabin that they are renting for what is supposed to be a 10-day family vacation. The cabin already has kind of like the bare minimum. It's a one room cabin that has like one big king bed. There's no like there's not a lot of amenities in this place to begin with. The first night that they are there, they wake up the next morning to the TV showing multiple explosions in America on the news channel. And as they are watching this, they notice this big flash of light in the sky where they're living, and all of a sudden, all electronics are gone. So now they are dealing with living a life without the amenities of the 21st century. No electricity, their car's not working due to a electromagnetic pulse basically. And nothing's getting delivered. They don't have a TV. They can't keep up with the news. They are essentially on their own in a foreign country that does speak English, so they got that going for them. But in a one bedroom place with no way to get food, no way, to get sustenance, basically. And that is where the story begins. So the three of them kind of have to figure out how to live off the land. The place that they are renting is on a farm, so that does kind of help them because they have some horses, some sheeps, goats, things like that, but no actual like plants being farmed, nothing like that. Then, of course, off of a situation like this, you have your bad guys who are looking to be opportunistic and see what they can get from people now that there's really no law or order anymore. So that's the gist of the story. The plot is interesting. The first half of the book is so far really them trying to learn how to survive in this new situation that they find themselves in. The writing is definitely not the best. You can definitely tell this is among the author's first stories. You don't really get to know the three main characters that much. There's nothing really about their background. There's not a lot of description about who these people are other than the dialogue between each other. And it's hard to kind of imagine who these people are in your mind. They're not really fleshed out that much. Now, the plot, like I said before, is interesting. That's really what's kept me reading this book to see how they are going to survive the situation. But the characters and kind of like the settings, they're just not as fleshed out. as a more polished book would be. But like I said, this is her first dystopian novel, and among the first 5 books that she ever published. This book was published back in 2011. And I think there are like 11 or 12 books in this series. So I imagine that they probably improved as the series kind of went on. So, yeah, so that's where I am right now, enjoying the plot. The writing's not the best I've ever read. It could definitely have probably used a editor to kind of look over it before being published, but it is an indie published. It may have been a self-published book um, by the author early on in their career. So that's where we are now. I am going to go take a quick little nap before I finish the rest of this book. Because otherwise I'll probably fall asleep as I am reading it because it is 2:30 in the morning and reading, you have to be awake and paying attention. It's hard to do it when you're tired. So that is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to finish the rest of the book. And I'll meet you guys back here probably in the morning and let you know my final review of how this book went. And I can't believe that when I see you guys again, I will have read 3 books off of my July TBR. That is amazing. I'm so happy about that. So I'll see you guys back here in a little bit. See you guys soon. Hi, everyone. It's the next day. It's sunny out. We're not in the middle of the night anymore. And I have finished Free Falling by Susan Kiernan Lewis. I would say my thoughts are about the same as they were in the first half of this book. It definitely could have used with a lot of editing to make the plot, the story a little bit stronger. I was actually reading through some reviews just to see what other people felt about the book, and one reviewer had mentioned kind of felt the same as I did about the first half as far as the writing went, and thought it had gotten a little bit stronger in the second half. I would agree to that. I did feel while reading the second half it was a little bit stronger. I felt like I knew a little bit more about the characters, the setting, what was happening. Definitely a little bit stronger, but I still think there was still improvement that needed to be made. The plot itself, especially in the second half of the book, got very gruesome. There was a lot of deaths, both animals and people, and a lot of things happening in that second half. Kind of similar to a lot of other post apocalyptic books that you read, where there are a gang of opportunistics that kind of want to take over control and will do anything to do that. So, with that, there is a lot of killing, there is a lot of deaths, including animal deaths. So if that's something that gets to you, I definitely would not read this book. Like I said before, the plot did keep me engaged to kind of see what was happening to the family, how they were making it through all these different crises that happened to them during this post apocalyptic atmosphere. And that was kind of like the thing that kept me reading the book, because if I wasn't engaged by the plot, I probably would have DNF'd it. That being said, with the writing that did improve in that second half, and me having this thing where I need to know what happens no matter how the book read the first time around, I probably will continue this series just because I want to see what happens to this family. I want to see how this is a 12-book series, because with how this one is going, I don't know what could happen in 11 more books that would keep my attention. So I'm curious to see what was going on there. So because of that, I probably will continue the series. I also find it interesting to see how the author grows as they publish more and more books, see how the writing changes, and I am interested to see if the writing continues to improve as we get through the rest of the series. So we'll find out once I pick up, these other books in the series. But that's it for Free Falling by Susan Kiernan Lewis, and that's it for this reading vlog. I'm so happy I got 3 books read and 3 books off of my TBR because I needed that. Now I only have 11 books to read the rest of the month, which still sounds a little daunting, but a lot more doable than 14. So we'll see how that goes as the month continues on. So the video is coming out for the rest of the July. Next month, I think I'm going to do next week, I think I'm going to do a author backlog video where I put some of my favorite authors' names into these lovely little packages because I love these things now. And whatever name I choose out there will randomly choose a book that I haven't read by that author before. And my goal for that video is to read, and again, probably like 3 books for that video. And then the following week, my monthly reading game will come out. This month is going to be the Bookification game, which I'm super excited about. I've added some additions to it since I last played it back in March. I am making these little suitcases. There's going to be a handle up here and then little wheels down here, and then inside the suitcase will open and there'll be a prompt in here, and that is a prompt we will read if we happen to land on the prompt token. So I'm super excited about that, and I can't wait to see where we'll be traveling to for that Bookification game. So that will come out in 2 weeks, and then after that will be a reading journal update, and then the TBR video for August actually will come out, I think, on August 1st, because August 1st is a Friday, and that's when my videos come out. So that month, it kind of all comes together. So those are my future plans. We're going to stick with them as much as I can. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed playing it. I felt like I did pretty good with the ping pong into the cup thing. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see future videos by me, please hit that subscribe button. And then if you want to let me know if you watch this book all the way through, leave me a coffee or tea cup hot beverage emoji, and that will signify all the coffee that was being drunk in the Red Scrolls of Magic, as well as in I'm blanking on the name. Sleeping Tiger. Oh, we could do a tiger. We already did that. So you can leave me those emojis if you want to let me know that you watched the game all the way through. That will also work for a 24-hour reading vlog because I did drink a lot of tea during this reading vlog to stay awake until 2:30 in the morning. All right, that's it for this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey as we read through some of my TBR books. And I will see you next week for my next video. Take care. Bye.